From Fairfax, Mr. Surovell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, before I say this, I want to make clear that I intend this to be a friendly amendment. Should the amendment carry, though, I do not intend to follow Mr. Jefferson's example and vote for the bill anyway, but I just want to make that clear. Just so you all understand, what this bill does is the current statute allows localities to enact an ordinance prohibiting people from carrying a loaded shotgun on public highways, not private property, just public highways. This statute creates an exemption to that and says that anybody who has a concealed weapon permit can carry a loaded shotgun on any public highway in the Commonwealth, basically. Now, the amendment that I've proposed, all it does from what the committee adopted is it says that if you were going to do this, if you're going to have a loaded shotgun in your car because you have a concealed weapon permit, you need to have the concealed weapon permit in your possession so that if a police officer sees the loaded gun in your gun rack and wants to ask about it, you have to have that document in your possession. I've talked to concealed weapon permit holders who tell me they don't always carry. They don't always carry with them at all times. They don't always have a gun in their possession, so they might not always have their permit in their wallet with them. And given that you're not required to have a permit to open carry, but only open carry a loaded weapon in a car, they might not carry their actual document with them. And so if they come into a police encounter, I just think it's important that they have the actual concealed carry permit in their possession so they can hand it to the police officers. The police officers can see, okay, you have one. And that's the point of the amendment.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Shenandoah, Mr. Gilbert, speaking to the amendment.
Gentleman yield for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Gentleman yields.
I would ask the gentleman how he would intend the holder of a valid concealed handgun permit to display such permit such that one would be conform to the amendment that the gentleman proposes.
I would think all they have to do is pull it out of their pocket and hand it to the police officer. That's how they can need to display it. Speaking
of the amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has floor.
Mr. Speaker, of course, we say this down here to the to folks that visit us from time to time with good ideas. We tell folks that we don't pass ideas here. We pass laws, and laws have to be precise, especially when they're in parts of the code that can lead to criminal convictions. The language that could lead someone to be in violation of the law, of course, is viewed extremely precisely. And the gentleman, I think, has described an amendment that is very different from the amendment that is written down here, in that it requires the display of a valid concealed handgun permit. And I appreciate the gentleman's explanation, but I don't think that's going to do it. And I would encourage the body to defeat the amendment.
The question is on the adoption of the floor amendment offered by the gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Surovell. As many as favor that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no? No. The floor amendment is rejected. Questions on adoption of the committee amendment. As many as favor adoption of the committee amendment will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Committee amendment is agreed to. Shall the bill pass?
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Surovell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
The gentleman has floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill is bad for a whole nother 4 other reasons I'm going to go into. Number one, I don't think it's necessary for hunting. Number two, we don't need any more shotguns in traffic. Number three, it's inconsistent with the education policies we have in this state. Number four, it's inconsistent with the manufacturer's instructions on shotguns. First of all, let's talk about hunting a minute. My granddaddy, he liked to hunt, and I used to ride around with him in the countryside in Franklin County, and I did too. And he didn't carry a gun. He didn't carry a gun in his car. He carried a club. He had a billy club. And one day I saw him go out and hunt a snake because he beat that snake down with his club. Mr. Speaker, you don't have to have a gun to hunt. And I don't think it's necessary to carry a gun around in a car to hunt, especially a loaded one. Number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, let's get more seriously. Let's get more serious here. Number two, Mr. Speaker, we don't need guns in traffic. The last thing we need in Northern Virginia or Hampton Roads traffic is people riding around with a loaded shotgun in a gun rack. Tempers flare. Now, Mr. Speaker, just let's talk about actual reality here. First of all, I just Googled this morning. It wasn't hard to find. September 20th, 2013, 2 Michigan drivers shoot and kill each other after a road rage incident. And, Mr. Speaker, you know, we're often told that concealed carry permit holders are very law-abiding citizens and very safe. Well, you know, it turned out that these two guys who shot each other, and one of them had a concealed weapon permit. Can you believe that? And that was just a year ago, or 2 years ago. Mr. Speaker, let's look. March 10th, 2014. Here's a story from, News Channel 8 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Man threatens family with shotgun during road rage incident. Man was arrested after threatening a family with a shotgun during a road rage incident in Bridgeport on Sunday. The victim told police he was driving on Fairfield Avenue with his family when a black Ford Explorer backed onto the road from a side street, which forced him to stop his car. He then beeped his horn. Both cars then turned up 2 blocks. The Ford Explorer turned at the corner. The victim passed him. When the victim turned around to Fairfield, he passed the car. The man was standing behind him waving a shotgun. And that's just a year ago. Mr. Speaker, you know, it's still even happening today. Can you believe this? January 28, 2015. What was that? 21 days ago. 21 days ago. Orlando, Florida. Channel 9 spoke to a Good Samaritan who helped take down 2 gun-wielding men outside the Citrus Bowl following the Monster Jam show this week. According to a police report, 2 suspects in a Ford truck sideswiped a minivan that had 2 adults and children inside. The mother got out of her van to wave down the driver who hit her, which is when the police said Corey Gathings got out of the truck with a shotgun. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? It's even happened more recently than that. Can you believe it? This shotgun, for some reason, causes people to just jump out of their cars whenever something bad happens to them. February 17th, 2015. What is that?
Mr. Speaker.
20 hours ago.
Parliamentary procedure. Inquiry.
The gentleman may state it.
Mr. Speaker, is he speaking to the bill, or is he speaking about a law that's already present in the state of Virginia that's legal to have a loaded gun in your vehicle?
I bet he doesn't know that. Gentleman may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's just these shotguns just cause people to seem to get out and point them at people. And I don't know what it is about shotguns when they're loaded in cars, but when people's judgment gets the better of them, but this shotgun thing just seems to get people to do funny things. So 20 hours ago, Mr. Speaker, just 20 hours ago, February 17th, 2015, 12:33 p.m., this story was posted. Vancouver. Maybe it's just he's a crazy Canadian. I don't know. But this Vancouver man is accused of pointing a shotgun at 2 men in a fit of road rage late Friday in a parking lot of an East Vancouver Fred Meyer store. He allegedly shoved the gun's barrel into the abdomen of one of the men, and he got charged. He pointed the shotgun at point-blank range, said Deputy Prosecutor Randy St. Clair. The only reason we're not here for another charge is one of the victims pushed the muzzle away. So, Mr. Speaker, I would say the last place we need guns is in traffic, much less loaded guns. And I understand you can carry around a pistol, but the last place we need a loaded shotgun is in traffic. Now, let's talk about what we teach hunters. Because, Mr. Speaker, I haven't hunted a whole lot in my life, but I went online to try and figure out what hunting education teaches people. And so I went on to the International Hunter Education Association. And they have a quiz that they make you take in order to be able to get a hunting permit. And you know what? This is actually a class that the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries requires. And question number 1 is, it is a safe practice to transport a loaded firearm on an all-terrain vehicle as long as the safety is on. True or false? You know what? The answer to that was false. We teach our hunters not to carry around loaded shotguns in cars or on all-terrain vehicles. I went to a different course. This is another one on Hunter Ed, a home study for the IHEA.com. It says an important part of going hunting is getting yourself and your firearms to your hunting location. Normally, this involves transporting your firearm by vehicle. Whether that vehicle is a car, a half-ton, ATV, airplane, or other means, it's important to follow these rules in order to make your firearm safe for transportation. Number 1, be sure that your firearm is unloaded before you transport it. Number 1. Mr. Speaker, I went to another website, the shotgunlife.com. Shotgunlife.com. One of the rules for their nevers: never transport a loaded shotgun. Even if the law says it's okay, the shotgun could accidentally discharge. You know what? In the Militia Police Public Safety Committee, we heard.
Mr. Speaker,
The gentleman.
will the gentleman yield for a question?
Gentleman yield.
I'll yield when I'm done, Mr. Speaker. I'll be happy to yield when I'm done. I'm almost done.
Oh, I'll believe that when I hear it.
Never transport a loaded shotgun, even the law says okay. When we were in Militia and Police Committee, we heard testimony from the Fraternal Order Police that said when they were trying to undo an accident, flip a car, a shotgun went off and shot a state trooper. Killed him? I think he said it killed a state trooper. So guns do go off, Mr. Speaker, when by accident in these situations. The Hunter's Ed course, the 4 primary rules of firearm safety. I can give you guys all this stuff if you really need to read our hunter education courses that DGIF encourages people to use, but I'm not sure it'll affect anybody's vote. I also pulled some owner's manuals, Mr. Speaker, the Remington owner's manual for SPR 310 or SPR 320 over-under shotgun. And what does Remington, the manufacturer of the shotgun, say? It has the first commandment, always keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. The second commandment, firearms should be unloaded when not in use and secured from unauthorized use. Never bring a loaded firearm into your camp, home, or vehicle. And you know what? Remington isn't even the only manufacturer that says that, Mr. Speaker. Browning for their gold auto-loading 12 or 20 gauge shotgun. I pulled that one too. And you know what they say in their instructions? They say the same thing. They say, for rule number 4, do not transport any loaded firearm. Keep all firearms unloaded during transport, whether stored in a holstered gun case, scabbard, or other container. Mr. Speaker, we are legislating a policy here that the manufacturers disagree with, that our hunter education courses disagree with, that has been proven to cause altercations and deaths in traffic situations. It's just bad policy, and we're basically legislating people to do something other than what we teach them. It's a bad bill, and we ought to vote against it.